Yo, what is up, you guys? It's Negan from Vikings War Plans, and today we are going to talk about influence control. Let's get started with this video. Alright, I hope everyone had a great Jotunheim weekend. Huge shout out to Giants Reloaded who helped us during Jotunheim to claim the throne, and congratulations to Wild, who's now the king of Jotunheim. So yeah, there was a lot of troops that were sacrificed for the cause, but yeah, it was great to see the efforts of the clan and of Giants Reloaded united to help each other out during this event. Yeah, very bloody. So yeah, congratulations to Rhett, congratulations to Wild, and thank you very much, Giants Reloaded, for your guys' help. Before we go any further, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Turn on bell notifications if you want to be notified when I am live or when I drop new videos, and make sure to like this video. Now, it has been a while since I've made a video about influence control, mainly because I'm in Rhett, and you don't really need to worry about influence control when you're in the highest influence clan, so it's not really a big issue that I run into. But I know that there are still clans out there that are very, very strict on their influence control, and today I want to talk about why they are so strict and why the importance of influence control is needed. So here you can tell that there are quite a few clans that have high-ish influence, not like crazy high, but like, you know, Spartak with 400 trill, Blood with 935 trill, and then there's us with like high numbers of influence itself. But as we go down, the numbers start to lower. So one example I want to give, because I know that they are a great clan, is T-Dome. All right, so this is Angels of Thunderdome, T-Dome. This was a clan I was in a couple months ago, and they are a very tight-knit group. They are very strong as well. They perform very, very well. As you can tell, they have a record of 99 wins and 5 losses. Congratulations to those that made them lose. But yeah, 99 wins and 5 losses is a pretty good win streak. Their influence is currently 42.2 trillion influence. Now, this number basically comes from about 2 trillion influence each. They'll have a maximum number of influence that they can have at a given time. So I'll show you what they basically allow in terms of how many troops you're allowed at a given time or given moment versus during an event like Fury or Jot or even Home Gang. They are very lean and mean, as some people would call them. So there's this comparison of 42 trillion. There's only 28 of them. But let's take a look at like someone as an example, Freya Venom. If we go into their clan, we can see that there is 25 of them, and in that 25 there's someone that has 746 billion influence, and then someone has 4.8 trillion influence. 1 trillion, this person's almost at 1 trillion, but then the rest of the members are a lot smaller. Let's just say, just to give an example, because this is something that was discussed in my server, in my own personal Discord server. Let's just say all these members decided to basically add influence. Let's say they all wanted to add 1 trillion influence. So far there's 1, 5, roughly 6 trillion, 7 trillion influence already amongst these three. If the rest of them were to add influence of at least 1 trillion influence, so that they can all kind of pull their weight, their influence would grow from 10.7 trillion influence to about 29-30 trillion influence. Now, this would be a huge change for them in total as a clan, and yes, it'd be awesome to have them all grow and try to contribute to the clan and essentially work together, but at the same time it would just hurt them even more. If you see, their current record is 7 wins and 98 losses. Now, there is a reason as to why they are 7 and 98, and I'm sorry to say, these guys that are almost 1 trillion influence, but including specifically this guy who is 4.8 trillion influence, is not really helping the cause. These guys are the ones that are making it difficult for these players to basically play at their own level. Now, if all of these guys were at the same level and they're pretty strict on that influence cap, this record may differ, but they wouldn't be facing clans that are this influence and they're all currently maxed. So it's, I don't know, it's a tough situation. But for sure, what I do know is if they were to all increase their influence by at least 1 trillion, they would jump from 10.7 to about 30 trillion influence, which would make their matchups even harder, because then they would be facing clans that have been playing at that level for quite some time. And let's just take a quick look at the 30 trillion section roughly. So this is 30 trillion, 20 and 85, still not a great record. 65 and 39, pretty decent. White Walkers 59 and 45, 83 and 21. So there's a mix of both. So who knows how they would perform in total, but you will face harder clans that basically have everything maxed in terms of teams. Like if you see here, they have 15 guys that basically are ready to go fight wise. So increasing in influence would, again, just make their matchups even more harder. They would have a closer league to compete with, and more variety, and it may even change the dynamics of how they play. But yeah, when you're very small in terms of influence, and a few people are affecting the size of your influence for a clan for like CVC matchups, that is one of the reasons why there are a lot of clans that have a lot of failures in CVC, because they are overgrown and are not helping really the rest of the clan grow. Yes, you do help with checkpoints and helping the rest of the clan get the gold and all that stuff. And if you're okay with not consistently winning, then that's totally fine. If that's the way you want to play, then that's the way you want to play. Now, keep in mind that there are a lot of kingdoms that don't like these smaller clans, kind of like us, where they're just there to poach basically our win. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Every kingdom deals with things differently, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's kind of what we look at there. Now, let's take a quick look at my influence, and then we're going to look at T-Dome's influence, essentially, and what they kind of cap at. So my influence for knowledge is 775 billion influence, and that's for knowledge, and that's basically almost max. There's a few more secret knowledges I need to finish, so I'm not sure what the full max is, but I'm gonna say it's around 800, maybe 850, maybe 900, somewhere around there. So let's just say it's around the 900 mark. Plus you got other things like buildings and all that. So let's say altogether, roughly, it's about 1 trillion influence for a maxed account, including, maxing all the buildings and then your knowledge. So if you're at 1 trillion and I'm at 3.7, obviously you can see here 2.3 is all troop influence here. So this is essentially the dead weight. So in reality, this number here doesn't have to be this. This is mainly because I have a bunch of T7s, and then I have about 150 million T8s, and T8s have a lot of influence, but I don't know the specifics of the T7s versus T8s that I have, but 2.3 trillion of my influence is troops alone. So my overall influence would be about 1.4 trillion influence in just knowledge and buildings and Valkyrie and all that stuff, right? So 1.4 is roughly where we're looking at for a max account. Here you guys can see that Shells is at 1.8, Vengeance is at 2, and you don't see anyone higher than that 2 mark, and that's because they are lean and mean. They'll have an X amount of T7s allowed in their town, including T8s as well, but you're only allowed a certain amount of influence troop wise in your town at a given moment to be able to play with them specifically. But that is why their win record is so good, because when they are faced with clans around their same influence, but they're matched up with one player that is like half the influence of the whole clan, well, they have the numbers, these guys have the numbers, whereas that one clan is not fully maxed, they're weak, and they're not going to be able to perform the same way that T-Dome does. So that's why this clan is so successful when it comes to events like CVC or just Fury or any event really. Now, if we compare Angels of Thunderdome versus Perdition Temple, you'll notice that there's a difference in memberships, right? So these guys have 38 members and their influence is 42.7, and there's some guys at like 5 trillion, 4 trillion. See, this is like 1/4 of their influence already. It's just these two guys. 3.5, 2.2, and then from there you see that it goes low. These guys have 14 members that are able to fight at any given moment, whereas Angels of Thunderdome has 23 members that are ready to fight at a given moment, and then the rest are like alt accounts. They're not the mains. Same thing goes with like Giants Reloaded. Giants Reloaded has a great win record, 96-8. They have 95 players roughly in their clan, but they all have a decent amount of influence. A lot of them have lost influence because of Jonheim. Yeah, there was a lot of influence that was lost because of Throne. But these guys, again, they have a great CVC record, all because of the same situation. All their players are ready to fight. But if we were to look at another clan that's very similar to them, take a look at these guys. These guys are 30 players. They have 67 trillion influence, and I mean that it's just a little bit more. But let's just take a look at them. 67 trillion influence, 6 trillion, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4. Like they have. Yeah, they have a lot. Like they don't have that many players, and Giants Reloaded has like 26 players that are ready to go at a given moment, whereas Skull only had 8 members really ready to fight at a given moment. So there is quite a big of a difference when you're facing clans like that. Some of these guys have or had a lot of influence, and they dropped because of losing troops and stuff like that. Now their influence isn't maxed, but they're again working on it. But a lot of these guys, everything is maxed. They're maxed accounts and they're ready to roll at a given moment as well. So yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents on influence control, is that when you're looking at influence is just a number. Obviously 3.7 trillion influence, 2.3 of that is just troops. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What we're looking at is what your final sitting influence is, because that's what's going to determine if you're stronger than another player. Now there are other factors like the runes you got and the gear level that you got, and Helheim and how finished that is, and there are a lot of factors behind it, including even inside the stronghold. Is it a fully maxed stronghold, or are you guys still working towards getting it maxed? So again, a lot of factors do go into play when you're facing other clans similar to your influence size. But the main influence of your players does take a big factor. Like again, if you're half of the influence of a 10 trillion clan, you're essentially going to be hurting that clan, because you're the main influence. You just expect to not have many wins because you're being paired up with clans that have more players that are ready and able to fight against you, versus you being the only one to be able to defend the forts, as an example, or even your pop, or even to defend your stronghold when you're doing your stronghold defense. So yeah, that's how I kind of feel about the whole influence control, and the difference between that is that there is a big difference when you're, again, playing and you're losing events because of your size. But then again, if you want to grow just because you want more members to participate, that's awesome. But you guys got to also take into consideration the rest of your members. You might want to have a strictness in your influence so that you're paired up evenly, versus having that unbalance of influence and the matchups are unfair because you're still higher than everyone else. So yeah, anyways, I hope this video was educational for anyone that is wondering about influence control and how matchups for CVC kind of work, and why they might be unfair or unpaired unevenly for CVC itself. Now the pairing system for like Home Gang and Fury is a little bit different, and we'll make a video about that separately. But when it comes to CVC and your opponents and influence control, this is what I wanted to touch base on today. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, peace out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.